When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
Hadouken!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Joystick Cinemas. I'm Steven.
I'm Aaron.
And we are going to get right into some video game news. And we're going to do something a little bit different. Actually, no. We're not actually going to start off with video game news.
No, we're not. This time around, we're going to start off with movie news.
Something that we, what?
Aren't we starting off with movie news? Or am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
That's not where I was going. But we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of just talking about video game news, we're going to talk about just a general topic in general.
Yes.
Which is the downfall on some great video gaming titles that have recently come out. And mainly one that's come out this week was Sonic Forces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so bad.
Yeah, even before the game was released, we were getting screenshots and looks at levels and reviews, and there was a small demo that was released by Sonic Team and Sega before the game was put into its final stages. But from what we've seen, it's a lot more of the same. That it seems that Sega really hasn't learned what people like about Sonic and what they like to see in a Sonic game that makes it so good. So the big thing was that after Mania, Sega had a lot to live up to when it came to making this game.
Well, Sonic Forces, they released the trailer even before Mania came out. And when I saw it, I was just like, you know what? Maybe they're doing something good. Because the first time, the first trailer that came out, it was Sonic going through all this fiery, burnt up city area. City area, and just running through. And it really brought you back to maybe Sonic Adventures, which was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, Sonic Adventures, and give you that. It was a more dystopian vibe, actually. Yeah. It made me think, oh, what happens? Most Sonic games are so joyful when they start off and everything. This is so different.
Exactly, and I was really looking forward to it, and maybe this would be a good Sonic game. And then a couple months go by, and you realize that now it's starting to look like a little bit of Generations, and they wanted to be a little bit different, where you could make your own Sonic character. And everything that I started looking into it, it's just why though?
It's a lot of the same. That's the problem. Sega hasn't realized that by now. People are getting tired of them giving them the same stuff each time they make an iteration of a game. And Sonic Forces is a perfect example of that, because while the game introduces some new things, and you get to make your own created character, and they have their own playstyle and their own weapon and everything, they basically play the same as modern Sonic. It's the game itself at its core is basically just Generations. You could play as Shadow and everything. That's I think that's DLC. I'm pretty sure
it is. Why would they make that DLC? Why would that just be part of the game?
I think that's no. I'm wrong. That is part of the game. There's a Shadow costume for your character.
For your OC.
Yeah, for your OC. But regardless, you can play Shadow and everything. But the game itself, at its core, is doing a lot of the same things that Generations did.
It's not bringing anything new to the table.
Nope, nothing new. It's just you play as classic Sonic just like you did in Generations. You play as your regular Sonic, where you're going through a modern setting. And they keep doing this with every Sonic game, and I really wish they would stop. When they make 3D Sonic run, and he's running through levels, you have your 3D straight, right? They're looking directly ahead. Then they like to switch it up so that you're on a 2D platform. Why am I playing a Sonic game with both classic Sonic on a 2D platform and 3D Sonic on a 3D platform and a 3D plane?
And also 2D.
And also 2D. It's not necessary. It's just... It's they're trying to shove that nostalgia so much down your throat, and it's just not working, especially considering that with Sonic games nowadays, the whole point is the boost effect, and you're going really fast, and you're beating all these enemies really fast, but then you still have those parts where there's these giant walls or these big cliffs or whatever, and you just get brought to a screeching halt, dead stop, and you have to build up the momentum again. It takes you out of the moment unless you have the patience to go back and play the level again to get that perfect run where you never stop. But I don't think you should really have that feeling when you're playing a Sonic game of ever slowing down. Platforming is good and all, but when you're trying to achieve that difference that you get in Sonic games compared to other platformers like Mario and Crash and all these other titles that exist now that excel in platforming, and it's great. But they don't really differ from each other, and Sonic is out here supposed to be doing that, making that difference, and he's doing a lot of the same stuff, but trying to mix in his own elements at the same time. It makes quite a mess of a game. And not only to mention that, of course it still has the problems with the story is pretty, generic, and it's somewhat interesting this time. Eggman managed to actually take over the world. He releases new creature on the planet, and Infinite. It's funny because it reminds me of this like edgy OC made kind of thing. But that seems to be the whole focus of the game, actually, because with the whole ability to create your own character, the big meme, I guess, was that people were like, oh, you finally get to make your own Sonic OC. Now you could go on Google, type in your name, put the Hedgehog afterwards, and there you go, you got your created character. But besides that fact, I have zero interest in Sonic Forces at this point. I don't want to. I feel like it's a rehash of Generations. There's nothing new to it. The created character looks cool, but the proportions are a bit weird, and you also only new thing that you have is like the grappling hook, which is basically just a kind of like the drift thing that Sonic did in Unleashed, or the weapon that they give you, which is a flamethrower or some other weapons that I've yet to see. I don't know if it's just a flamethrower to beat enemies, but it seems all too easy and too much of the same. So I don't think that this game, especially with the reviews that come out after it's been released, I don't think this game will be remembered fondly. It'll be remembered as another Sonic title that just does more of the same and that doesn't take any risks or do anything different. And it's a rehash of Generations that's milking on people's nostalgia. And at this point, I'm kind of sick of it. And
also, like, they came out like a really bad time, maybe with the release of Mario Odyssey, which has been cleaning the
markets with people just blowing everybody's mind. And the Sega's like, hey, there's Sonic,
It's just like, yeah, he used to be good.
Yeah,
he was good for a second in Sonic Mania.
Yeah, there was a time where it was like Sega versus Nintendo. They're both at it. Sonic versus Mario. At one time, Sonic was just a little bit more popular than Mario, and now you look at it and you're just like, no, there's no contest.
There's no difference.
There's no contest between the two of them, especially Mario Odyssey. Bringing back that Mario 64 vibe,
yes,
where it takes so many of its past elements and just polishes them to a T with the controls, with the platforming, with the abilities you can do, with the graphics, the things, all the little details that just make the game so much better. And you could see the effort and love that Nintendo put into this game, and I don't see any of that in Sonic Forces.
None
whatsoever. But
moving on to another bad game that also came out this week was Need for Speed Payback, which is a sequel to the reboot Need for Speed. What was it, 2015?
I think it's just a sequel to the previous game. Yeah, Need for Speed 2015 was the previous one. They took a bit of a break to try and get their head together, and it seems like they still need to take another break to figure out what's going on. So I actually want you to talk about another title that does it better, Forza Horizon 3, because you played the game.
Yes, Forza Horizon 3 gets it completely right. It's a completely open world racing game, and like there's so many there's such a variety of different cars you could play as, and the thing about it is you could do whatever you want. You don't have to go through a story, you don't have to do anything. And even like I haven't played with friends yet because I don't have any friends that have it, but seeing what other people play with it, it's a lot of fun. You could create your own races. The events are actually, even though they're a little bit repetitive, like it's actually fun when you play it. And it's not that many cutscenes. Maybe there's a cutscene when you go to a different section of the world, which is Australia. But other than that, it's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun even creating my own car, like creating different designs for the cars and stuff like that.
Customizing things like that.
Customizing. Where Need for Speed gets it wrong is the customization also.
Yes. So the big thing with this game that they seem to keep making the same mistake of doing, Need for Speed did start out as a franchise that, you really couldn't customize your car. You would just choose a car, you go into the race, and I guess along the line when it came to Underground and Most Wanted, those were the first two games in the series that really allowed you to take your car and customize it and bring out all the potential and everything and make it look like it's your own. And that was why those two games are remembered so fondly as two of the best games out of the series. So with Payback though, they've gone back to silly little formula of deciding you can't customize your car. You're just kind of left with this vehicle here, and you get to basically just tune it so it sounds better or runs better in the simulator.
Have you figured out, do you know how you customize certain things?
No, how?
Through a random card, like, thing after you beat a race.
What?
Yeah, you get cards that upgrade each of your attributes to your car, like your engine or something like that. You don't even unlock it through, like, oh, you have this currency, you could spend it on this, like what Forza does.
Stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's a random card thing, like loot box system, that is completely ridiculous, and I don't understand why they put it into this game. It's not that kind of game. Like, they're trying to get you to, I don't even know what to do. It's just making the game even, like,
not feel like Need for Speed. Oh, man, I didn't even know about that. Now I'm upset even more. See, the big thing was when Need for Speed came back. You had Need for Speed 2012, Most Wanted, which was supposed to be a reboot of the kind of, Most Wanted, the old game. But it seems like they messed up with that one because, again, you couldn't customize your car. The physics in that game were insane. You could make a jump that was like 300, 400 feet in the air, land, and be perfectly fine within your car. And it was really ridiculous. And it was like, after a while, you just got kind of bored because the physics of the game were out of whack. You couldn't customize the car to look the same way that you wanted to. The only thing you could do was kind of, I don't know, make this little menu where you tune it up a bit. You were constantly online if you played on a console, which means that you could never really slow down.
And also, in the recent, not the recent, but the one before Payback, 2015, you couldn't even pause.
Yeah, you can't. Payback doesn't let you pause unless you go to your garage.
No, actually, no, Payback you're able to pause.
The
2015, you can't even pause. You have to go all the way back to your garage.
Mm-hmm. Or find a gas station, and then you can pause and, like, auto. Then you could pause and warp to the garage, but if you're in the middle of the race and somebody's calling you, or you're in the middle of a police chase, you can't pause. You just have to bite the bullet, and especially
another thing about Payback, talking about the police system, and like something that was great in Carbon, I remember, Need for Speed Carbon, was the police chases. Like one of the best, and also just getting away from them was like one of the biggest achievements in that game.
It's so hard.
and even Hot Pursuit or Most Wanted,
they both did it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in this game, the only way to get cop chases are through an event, and to get away from them, you have to go through a certain amount of checkpoints. And they made it less fun.
Oh, wow. What? Why? Why would they ever take away one of the best parts of the series? So now instead of, I don't know, you're speeding down the highway and you shoot past a cop and all of a sudden, boom, you're right into a cop chase. Now it's like, nah, I'm just going to start an event where I'm getting chased by the cops. Oh my gosh. I remember Hot Pursuit did kind of do that, but the thing with Hot Pursuit was the cop chases were really difficult. Granted, in that game, you had to get away from... You did do the same thing where you go through multiple checkpoints, or halfway through the race, any race you were in, all of a sudden cops were there, and it made it way harder to finish the race. Even the final event in that game, I still haven't beaten, because the final race consists of half cops, and then the other half is just you running through the whole map in one giant race, and it's incredible. And the cop events, and even the perspective of playing as a cop, and being able to take down the drivers, that was cool too. Freaking Need for Speed Rivals, that was another game that came out.
Yes.
That game was divisive. It wasn't really that good because, obvious things like the physics, the cars themselves, and the fact that police chases, oh my gosh. That game took Most Wanted police chases and just like amped it up to 11. You could just start the game, you're in your little Volkswagen, you get into a cop chase, all of a sudden you got a Mercedes ramming into you from one side trying to take you down. Or freaking BMW, and there's no way you could get away or get back health unless you went through a gas station and it repaired your car. But from what it sounds like with Payback, it seems like they've taken away the most fun part of Need for Speed. The cop chases. Even 2015 did it well. Granted, the 2015 Need for Speed the cops weren't that hard to get away from. You just did the thing where you just drove fast enough and all of a sudden you're away from them. Sometimes it got harder if you were running in a slower car, like a car that drifts specifically. That time, it was really difficult to get away from them.
You are so good at segues. The last thing that we're going to talk about Payback, before we go on to our break, we're going to come back. But talk about the drifting system. They actually made that worse also.
Oh,
They made it way too cartoony. Like,
What?
have you ever played a racing game on like an iOS device or some mobile device?
Yeah.
It drifts like that. Like, it's not believable at all.
man.
At least in Forza, it's actually believable. And it's actually hard to do. In this,
Yeah.
you just hold down the button, you go skirt, and you go. It doesn't look fun at all.
It's all the classic Need for Speed games have always had the thing where if you brake hard enough, all of a sudden you find yourself drifting. From what this sounds like, it makes it sound like, oh no, you don't even have to do that now. All you have to do is just hit a button, and all of a sudden you're drifting, and then now you're not. They've just gone and taken away the challenge. And before we go to break, the next thing we're going to be talking about, because we're still going to be talking about this game when we come back, is the story. Because Need for Speed with the story only worked once, and I'm trying to do it again. It still has only worked once.
Anyway, we will get back with you, and please stick around.